Hello and welcome back to Book Nerd TV. Today I'm discussing Sister Outsider by Audre Lorde. This was a book that took me a while to start and to finish. It was not because it was a particularly hard read. It's just that it was a lot to think about and to contemplate as I read through her speeches and her essays. There was a lot, there was depth there that I don't know if I didn't anticipate it. Her thoughts really caused me to pause and do a great deal of introspection about the themes and the lived experience that she had versus the lived experience that I'm having. So it just caused a lot of introspection, not in a bad way. So none of this was negative. It's just that it required time and introspection and processing. Sister Outsider is a book of speeches and essays that address directly, forthrightly, issues of patriarchy and white supremacy and capitalism and racism and even sort of interracial issues and problems, and how can I forget homophobia, as they intersect with Miss Lorde's lived life. Miss Lorde lives at the intersection of so many identities, and she writes in that intersection about how racism and patriarchy and capitalism and homophobia, no matter where she finds it, and expands it out to how those issues actually affect the broader society, and how, as an individual person, as an individual Black woman, she is affected by those oppressions within society. There are essays, and especially the essays, where Miss Lorde really gets to the heart, gets to the bone of an issue, like the issues of homosexuality in society, but also within the Black community. And let's be clear, the Black community is no more homophobic than the white community, the Latinx community, the Asian community. Black people are no more homophobic than any other community. Just for some reason, it's something that that Black people tend to get hit with a lot. But it's not more. It's just that it exists in this community too. Even in an oppressed community like the Black community, homophobia exists as well, as it exists everywhere. Brief tangent. So the issues of her being a lesbian, the seeming hostility that can exist between Black women, but also is the same hostility that can exist just between women, because women are expected to, or stereotypically expected to, compete against one another, usually for sort of male gaze, male approval, right? But it's that sort of expectation that filters down to hostility and competition among women, when really there should be friendship and community and support. And that is the foundation that should be there, and is sometimes there, but is so suspect sometimes for some people. But that foundation is the foundation that Lorde believed, and I do too believe, that is the foundation where community and support and strength can come from to fight these other oppressions, to fight these other ills within our society. Miss Lorde also, in one of her essays, addressed the police violence. It wasn't called that at the time, but clearly a continuous thread in this country has been the police violence enacted upon Black people, people of color, of course, but Black people specifically. And just that one essay struck me because she wrote this book, or the book was published in 1984. So from 1984 to 2021, the same issues, the same problem persists. Police violence has been a problem since there have been police, especially when the police are employed to help subjugate and oppress an entire group or groups of people. The problem hasn't been solved yet, but it is a problem that needs to be addressed, because I don't know that it's going to get better, and I don't think it's going to stop until people, everyone in this country, really takes a look at what we expect the police to do. What are their actual duties versus the things that need to be given to mental health professionals, that need to be given to social workers, that need to be given to physicians or healthcare professionals. So the police cannot and should not be expected to do all of those things, because usually, in this country, their answer has been guns. There are so many jewels contained within this book. I highly recommend that everyone, not just anyone, but everyone, read Sister Outsider, because it is just such an amazing treatise on the various intersections where a person can live and survive. I was going to say thrive, but definitely survive. The book doesn't necessarily offer answers. I don't think that was the purpose of the book. It is offering a view, a picture, a point of view of this very intersectional woman in the 1980s who was very thoughtful and very clear-eyed about her lived experience in the United States at that time. Sister Outsider is a very good read. Sister Outsider is a great read. I recommend, like I said, everyone read it. Sister Outsider remains as relevant today as it was in 1984 when Miss Audre Lorde wrote it. And that is why it is sad to say, it's timeless, right? It's evergreen, because the issues that she wrote about then have not been solved, have not been resolved. I know I didn't talk a great deal about feminism, which is a major discussion in the book for Miss Lorde. But I feel like other people have done that. And just know that feminism versus an inclusive feminism is something that is discussed in the book. And again, still relevant to this day. The racism and the exclusionary practices within feminism have not stopped. They did not stop in 1984. They continue to this day. There have been some attempts to address sort of the racist, classist elements within feminism. Clearly, those attempts have not been completely successful because there continues to be a problem. But I did not want to sort of get out of this video without sort of clearly stating that it is something that Miss Lorde definitely addressed, definitely spoke to within Sister Outsider. So again, from so many perspectives, this is just a really great read, a really thoughtful read. Miss Lorde was, I was going to say a philosopher or a great thinker who was ahead of her time, but actually she was of her time. And unfortunately, the times haven't changed that much. So she remains relevant. I'm really, really happy that I read the book. I had it as a digital copy. And of course, I'll put a picture of the cover somewhere in the video, or everywhere possibly in the video. Having gotten so much from the book, I'm going to purchase a hard copy because Something I rarely do, but I feel like I want to get the book and kind of do the pretty notes that everybody does when they sort of mark up a book. I don't know that mine will be that pretty, but there are some things that I want to revisit and some conversations that I want to continue to have or think of or ruminate on. So yeah, this was just an eye-opening, educational reading experience for me. And if my perhaps very scattered description or review of this book piques your interest or makes you interested in Sister Outsider, I highly recommend that you get it, whether I don't know if it's in audio, but I know it is digital, ebook, and of course, hard copy. I think there's even a really pretty hard copy version that's out now, and that's actually the one I want to get. Neither here nor there. Hurricane Ida did not do a great deal of damage here in central Mississippi, so I'm grateful for that. Yes, we are still in the midst of a surge here in Mississippi. I just don't even have the energy to address that, so I won't. But I hope everyone is staying as safe as they can stay, wearing a mask, getting your vaccinations. It continues to be necessary for us to take those precautions to keep ourselves and to keep our families and friends and communities safe. So please continue to do so. If you don't have your vaccination, get your vaccination. Stay safe, be good, do good, and don't forget, Black Lives Matter.